Good morning, traders. Welcome to Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee. Today is Friday, April the 24th. We made it through another week, guys. Happy Friday. I hope you all have some great plans for this weekend. I hope you're going to spend some time with loved ones and friends and get out in the sunshine. Spring is here. It's getting beautiful. At least it is over here in the Rockies. It's really starting to get gorgeous. I love the springtime. If you're here this morning, welcome. I just want to say thank you and please drop your name in the chat. Say hi. This is a friendly, interactive stream. We're going to take some trades together. This is an educational place. So these trades are going to be just for educational purposes. If you do follow, you do that at your own risk. And I'm going to show you how I take trades if we get the right setup. We're also going to talk about some market analysis, and we're also going to have some community just sharing comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, getting to know each other. So that's the vibe for this whole space, and I thank you for joining. It looks like Nick is here. Good morning, and Gavilan, good morning. Gideon is here. Hi, Gideon. All right, let's assess where we are, guys. I've taken one measly little trade today, just one. It was a winner. I made 8%, but I made it very small because of the sideways nature that we've been at all morning long. So let's take a look at these charts. We opened up with a bit of a gap up. It wasn't huge, and we pretty much came down a wee bit. So here's our open, came down, bounced around a little, came down, bounced around a little, and now we're making a climb. So we're up about 26 points higher than yesterday's close, and we have an overnight high that's a good bit above us. So it's about 20 points still up above us, and we certainly could run up and tag that. Now, we have not yet beat the all-time high, which was beat yesterday by about 20 cents. We've not beat that yet today, and if we do, we could see another push higher. So right now, let me get over to my SPY. Like I said, we're currently in this run. So I took this trade at the cross of the VWAP and got out a bit ago. It's still kind of pushing higher here. We are over the VWAP. And as you guys know, I use the VWAP as kind of a mile marker, kind of tells me, are we bullish or bearish? It's just a guideline. You can't really live and die by it, but it's a guideline. It'll give you an idea. So the VWAP is right. This white line right here stands for volume weighted average price. That price is a moving average. It is weighted by the volume of the trades. So we've got the VWAP kind of giving us a little slight dip and then a slight rise. You can just barely see it's given us a little rise here. And we have price up over the VWAP. So that tells us, at least at the moment, we're in a bullish regime. Now it can reverse, it can come down, but right now, we're in a little bit of a bullish regime. BD is here. Good morning, BD. The other thing to notice is that the VIX is slowly dropping. So we had this little up and down rise until about 9:56 Eastern. That was our low. You can see it right there. There's our low, 9:56 Eastern. There's our high on the VIX, 9:56 Eastern. And since then, it's been slowly dipping as the market has been slowly rising. Val is here. Good morning. Hatman is here. Craig is here. Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining. I love having everyone here and being able to trade with you all. It's a lot of fun. And it's a Friday, so yes, we're going to have some fun this weekend. We're going to celebrate my daughter's birthday, and I'm going to make some Indian butter chicken and some homemade naan, garlic naan. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'll be doing some heavy cooking tonight, but it'll be a good time. And maybe we'll get a warm weekend where we can sit by the pool. That'll be fun. All right. So still dipping down on the VIX, down at 18.6, getting another little rise here. I did jump out of my call, I don't know, somewhere in this area over here as we hit this opening range high. That's what this green bar means. I set these bars usually. Sometimes I don't, but most of the time I do set my opening range the first 15 minutes. And you can see today it was really tight range there, not much movement. But we did pop up over it here, and I think that's when I got out of my call for like 8%. And again, it was this teeny position, didn't go very far for me. So right now I'm just tiny green. I need to make a little money today. That would be nice to close out my week bright green. I had a really good day yesterday. So I'm good for the week, but it would be nice to make some more money today. It's just been a little challenging when we get this ranging behavior, like pretty much from here to here is range. We really did not break the range until just a few minutes ago, right in through here. All right, Val took a 1% gain on the call after panicking about the potential loss. I feel you, Val. You know, on days like this, they will eat your lunch because they move it sideways. And of course, you wind up holding it forever and ever. And then they just bleed the time value out of it. I actually was holding a trade for a good long time yesterday, but I happened to be gauging the direction correctly, and I happened to be in a put when we got that nice fast dip down. So that helped a lot yesterday. But I get it, Val. I don't like this slow moving. I don't like the sideways, and it is really hard to just sit there for 20, 30 minutes to get a couple of percent. It's very frustrating. All right. Nick saying the Qs hit the all-time high. Maybe the SPY is next. Yep. And you know what? The Qs have been doing that for a couple of days, Nick. Good eye there. Let's take a look at that. I'll show you what I mean. Let's look at the NDX. That's the index. And then we'll jump over to the futures. But the index has also been doing that. Check it out. Look at that. What is this chart looking like? Our SPY chart does not look like this, guys. So you're exactly right, Nick, to highlight it. We need to pay attention because usually the Qs, the NASDAQ, usually leads and the SPX follows. Sometimes it's reversed. But because of the fact that the NASDAQ is the tech stock index, and because of the fact that the SPX is holding about 40% weighted value in the tech stocks. Usually the way the NASDAQ goes, the way the tech stocks go is the way the SPX goes. So you're not wrong, Nick. This run up here is something to pay attention to because the SPY could be next. So all-time high here, all-time high here, all-time high here, last 3 days in a row. The SPX did not do that. Take a look. We did hit the all-time high, but look at the difference. This is more of a flat top here. We did hit an all-time high yesterday by 20 cents, not much. And we have not hit it yet today. My expectation is that we will, Nick. I agree with you. And something else to remember is that our overnight high is up overhead. Well, at right here, 71.89 is our overnight high. That happened pre-market. And that is about 16 points overhead. So we've been pushing toward that, slowly grinding up. I think we'll hit it. That will give us a new all-time high. We have yesterday's high still overhead as well. That one's sitting at, looks like about 71. Oh, yesterday's high. Hello. 71.81. So just up overhead as well, about 10 points overhead. I do think we could hit that, but it's been very slow, grindy, small gains. And could we get, one of their fun shakeouts in the meantime? Could they shake us all out and pull it down real hard? Yep, you bet they could. And I'm always kind of waiting for them to do something like that. All right, let's get over to the 1 minute. All right. We're right up at the outer band of the VWAP, so that's always an area where I'm a little bit more careful. I see the SPX at 7140 currently, was 7180 the overnight high. It was, Val, but it was 7189 on the ES, which is tracking a little bit different number. So the equivalent for, let's see, 7189 is going to be 16 points overhead. It's going to be 7156 would be the equivalent on the SPX. All right, BD, that was from a pullback on the 1 minute. All right, thank you. You're welcome, Val. All right, so again, we're at the outer band of the VWAP. It doesn't mean we can't continue higher. We can, but usually I have a little bit of caution here. Sometimes we get reversals off of these upper-lower bands. We are not totally overbought yet, but we're up there. The RSI right at 70. And the VIX just very slowly grinding down while the market grinds up. Let's take a look at our leaderboard and see what's going on. Now, Intel posted earnings yesterday after the close and absolutely killed it. And the stock has gone insane. It is up 24% today, guys. 24%. It also pulled QCOM up with it, so that's been up huge. People are buying QCOM like crazy today. And we've also got a really nice showing here by NVIDIA, 4.7%. Yowza. Big move up on NVIDIA. Amazon up 2.2, Meta up 1.4. The NASDAQ up 1.4%, much higher, 1 full percentage point higher than the SPY, back to Nick's point. We don't usually have that much space between the SPY and the Qs, but we do today, meaning that we could possibly follow in that direction. The MAG 7 ETF is up at 1.1%. Microsoft up 0.8. Tesla really doing the wobbly turkey today. Up and down quite a bit today for Tesla. Can't quite decide which way it's going. And then our negative performers are going to be Google, just a little bit, down 0.3%. Dow is negative today. Palantir down a little bit. Apple down 0.9%, almost a full percent. But overall, green is the direction today so far. We're up 30 points off of yesterday's close. Just a few points away from the all-time high. And I'm going to be watching this closely because I'm with you, Nick. I think we are going to run up and tag a new high. But they're just doing these teeny little candles, the ones that I hate. because it's very hard to make money. You've got to sit in this trade for a long amount of time to get just a few percentage points. All right, little rejection off of the outer band of the VWAP. We are still over the 21. That's this yellow line here. And it's been kind of using the 21 as a support on the way up. Let's see if we can break down through it. All right, BD out at 154. Okay, BD, what were you trading there? Didn't see where you got in or what you got into, but congrats. It looks like you might have made some money. Itty bitty teeny little candles, just ridiculous. 1 point candles. Was trying to hold 712, didn't like the chop. Okay, so you're in some calls. Hopefully you made some money on those. Don't like the chop either. I'm right there with you, BD. I might take another small call trade here, even though we are at the outer edge of the VWAP. It would be a little riskier. It would have to be another small trade. I've only taken one small trade today. I've been ultra cautious. But I might take another here. I'd be looking at the 7-11 calls. What I'm a little nervous about, I'm pretty confident we're going to run up and hit the overnight high, but what I'm nervous about is a big pullback between here and there, especially since we're at the upper edge of the VWAP. So that's what I'm cautious about. The ES is 5 points from the upper band of the VWAP. SPY is at the upper band. Could leverage difference to push for SPY all-time high. Yep, I agree, BD or Nick. I see it as well. That upper band of the VWAP is usually a warning sign for me, but we are within striking distance of the overnight high. So that's what I'm kind of looking at here. We are hitting overbought on the RSI. I'm going to try the call here. It's very risky. It's a small position. We could very easily turn and dump here. I'm just going to look for a couple of points to see if we are heading up toward the overnight high. And we could very easily reverse here. We're coming up on the high of day from yesterday. That's sitting right here at this blue bar. And let's take a look at our daily chart. We did look at the NASDAQ, but when we were looking at the SPX, we're looking at kind of a little bit of a top building. So let's see if we can see it differently. In fact, let's look at it from the hourly perspective. Sometimes that gives us a different view. All right, so here's an hourly chart, and you can really see this sideways slither, right? This line is the line that I added a couple of days ago. I think you guys saw me add that. And we're really kind of right in that area, looking at it almost as a resistance, although this hourly chart is showing that we're over it right now. Right there. So that's the current hour. It's a tiny candle. And now we're getting a little move down, breaking the 21. And I might consider a put here, even while I hold this call. I don't usually trade both sides of the market at the same time, but sometimes I do. I might do that here. I'm going to watch and see what we get. We do have a little pop on the VIX. Popped up to 18.7 on these last three candles. And this could be a little shakeout before they push it up again. All right, so here is our hourly chart, and you can see here's our all-time high that we tagged yesterday, just by a hair, right? Because the other all-time high was made over here, 7147.5. And then yesterday we jumped up to 7147.7. So no real huge conviction there, to be honest. And then what did we do? Oof, big rejection. So that's a warning. We got to be careful of that. We hit that new high and got a big rejection, something to be careful about. But with the overnight high kind of looming up above us, I think we do stand a chance of running up a little higher. But they're certainly playing a bit of cat and mouse with us, aren't they? All right, getting a little bounce off the 21 here. I'm gonna look at the ES on the hourly. That's where we see the overnight high. I'll show it to you. I always have to turn off my volume profile because it makes it really hard to look at the candles. All right, so here's our hourly on the ES. And let's zoom out a little bit more. So here's our all-time high on the after hours, or you could call it pre-hours. It happened this morning at about 7 Eastern. So here is the pop right there, pre-market. And it looks like, if we zoom in a little bit, it looks like we're trying to go in that direction, but they're just taking their time. I'm going to turn off the VWAP as well. It's super distracting. Okay, that's a little easier to read. So if we zoom out, it looks like the direction is slowly up, although we do have this break. Again, that's the same break we were looking at on the SPX. This is a little bit of a warning sign. This deep dive here all the way down to the 7,000 zone. That's 170 points below us, and that was just yesterday. So we have to be aware of that. That is a warning signal. Even as it looks like we're climbing, we could come hit this high. We haven't done it yet, and they're very slow to do it right now. We're not making a ton of progress. So these toppy days are really challenging to trade. As all of you probably know, it's been very hard to trade. This is nothing but a big chop fest, right? Even though these zones are bigger, right? These are big zones. It's still nothing but a chop fest, up and down and up and down. It's not doing too much, right? So very hard to trade here. What we're looking for is a break of the all-time high and a continuation up, or some kind of a break of this lower zone right in the 7,100 area. That's kind of where we're looking for it to break to the downside. All right, we're moving up a little bit on our call. Still not doing much. I think I may jump out at a break even. I'm kind of with you, Val. I don't like the herky-jerky movements here. Let me go back to my 1 minute. And here again, it does look like a climb, a pretty decent climb since about 10:30 Eastern. Actually, even since here, about 10 o'clock Eastern, just kind of slowly climbing, but we're not making a ton of progress very fast, are we? VIX coming back down just a little bit. There's a move up. No break at this top just yet. We have a little top right here currently at 712.1. Still hugging the upper band of the VWAP. The RSI has come down a little bit. All right, BD, showing my charts that R2 is at 712.09. Thank you. 712.09. So R2 being resistance zone, and those can get generated from Thinkorswim. Forget the name of the study that does that, but there are studies on Thinkorswim that generate these resistance and support zones. So thank you for sharing that, BD. And we did hit 712.15. So you're not wrong there on that resistance zone because it's not pushing through it just yet. I think we should come up here and hit this high of day, but we'll see. They're really taking their time about it, aren't they? $71.75 on the ES and $71.44 on the SPX. So About 4 points from the all-time high on the SPX. Very, very close. Looks to me like it should come up here and tag it. That'll also put us right at the high of day from yesterday. That's what this blue bar is. But they're playing a little cat and mouse right now, not really going there right away. And sometimes when they do that, they'll give us a big rug pull, shake out the stops, and then continue on up. That happens. I've seen it happen lots of times. Qs are up 1.5. All right, let's see if we can make one more push because I'd really like to get out of this call. Even it's small. It's a small position, but I really would like out of it. And the MACD is kind of telling us there's not a lot of momentum here. You can tell by the length of these bars. So these bars measure the distance between the MACD lines. And when the distance is narrow, the bars are small. When the bars get bigger and brighter, that's because the distance is widening and telling us momentum. So that is one of the things I love the most about the MACD is that it gives us direction and momentum, which I think is really helpful. Craig, good morning. When you say it should come up and tag it, what is that conclusion based on in this case? Just because we're so close, Craig. We are at this point 5 points away from the all-time high. So it doesn't have to for sure, but when you're that close, seems to me like that's the direction we're going in. But again, we could, like I said, go for a little shakeout here. Let's see if they do that. NVIDIA is flying today, 5% up. NVIDIA alone should be able to push us up higher with that 5% gain. And then we've got Intel, which again, Intel isn't huge. It's not a huge big chunk of the S&P 500, but 23% is something to pay attention to. Let's take a quick look at the heat map. NVIDIA bright green, AMD bright green, 14% on AMD. Intel, see how little it is? It's not huge compared to the rest of the index, but it's decent. Google is just sitting kind of flat. You can see the color. It's not really red, not really green. It's almost a brown. And that's because it's just sitting at about 0.3% positive. Amazon up 2.6. And then look at all of healthcare looking pretty red, not looking happy. Industrials looking on the red side. Energy, a little red today. Really, it's the Mag 7 holding this boat together. But Apple is down, so you can see Apple is a little bit red here. All right, looks like we're getting a little bounce up after a break of the 21. Now, if we lose the 21 here and start dropping, we could consider puts. Excuse me. Could be a little shakeout. Let's see what we get here. Look, it's rounding over a bit. So they could be shaking out the longs. VIX is given a little climb up to 18.7. Thank you, Gavilan. Saying bless you. I appreciate that. I'm going to take a quick look at NVIDIA here. Ooh, look at that long candle, long wick down below. And then a climb up. That's interesting. Look how far down that goes. All the way down here to this previous range. All right, our call is looking a little better. But NVIDIA kind of doing this similar climb like we're doing, long, slow climb. Although for NVIDIA, it's faster, right? Because it's almost up 5%. All right, little climb here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And the trades today have really tested the patience, right? We've just had to hold and hold and hold. There haven't been too many great setups. So it's just always challenging to trade at highs, believe it or not. You would look at the chart, you would look at the daily and think, looks like a piece of cake. It's not. It's not easy to trade at the highs. All right. Let's see if we can pop this high a day. Come on. Just going to have to be patient. And we're just moving sideways here. All right, looks like we're moving back down just a little bit. We're not really coming down. We're just kind of ranging again. They're just not going anywhere. All right, here's the Mag 7 ETF. You're getting a little round over from a top here. Did the Mag, let's look at the daily here on the Mag 7. Okay, looking a bit like the SPX with this kind of little flat top thing happening here. All-time high sitting at 69.1. Mags are at 66 right now. So Mags never did hit the all-time high like SPY did. Oh, there's a pop. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. That's helpful. I'm out here at 32, actually 46%. That was fun. Hi, Dan. You just missed a 46% call trade on a tiny little position. Of course, right, guys? Couldn't be a huge position, could it? It had to be a little one. It's all right. I'll take it. I'm happy. Rocket shot BD. It was nice. These are the little lucky moves, right? When you guess the direction right, and then you get, after this itty bitty little climb, they come out of nowhere with this, crazy push. And we happen to be sitting in the trade at the time. That's a nice trade. Let's see. Let me make sure I made 46 on that. I was in at 177, out at 288. So I made $1.10 off of $1.77. So yeah, way more than 50% there. Yeah, good trade. That was a lot of fun. That helped to make my day. I was teeny weeny green before that trade, and now I'm nice and bright green. So it's a good way to hopefully enjoy a Friday. Okay. Let's get over to the SPY again. In the 1 minute. Don't know if any of y'all's were in that one, but again, those are for educational purposes. But if you were in it and you jumped out at the top of that candle, you did really well. So again, those are for educational purposes, my trades, and you trade at your own risk if you follow me. I don't make those recommendations. I'm just teaching you how I do it and how I think. But look at how far we came. 71.97. ES wants 7,200. It sure does. Came up to 71.63, new all-time high on the SPX. Looks like we're going to climb some more. I don't know if I want to chase this move up, to be honest. Dan didn't miss it. Swing trade from yesterday did well. Excellent, Dan. Glad to hear it. Gideon got 29. Beautiful, Gideon. Glad to hear it. I don't usually make huge wins like that. As you know, I take small, little base hits, but every now and then I get lucky and get one of these almost 100% winners. Not quite 100%, but good amount there. I'll have to do the math. I want to say that's, what is that, 60%? I don't know. I'll do the math later. It was a good trade. And I don't usually get those big ones. I'm very content with my little base hits, but every now and then we get a banger. All right, so here's our overnight high. What have I been saying all day? We're going to come up and tag that overnight high, right? And they did it in one fell swoop. They just went, ooh, whoosh, right? Came up and tagged the overnight high. I'm not going to chase this any higher. I don't care if it goes higher. I'm not going to chase it. I think we're going to get some resistance here at the overnight high. We don't have to. We can keep climbing. Like I said, 7,200 is clearly a magnet. Look at where it got to, 71.97. That means that 7,200 is probably a magnet on SPX as well. But let's see how we respond here to our overnight high. And you guys see why I put these levels on my charts? This helps me to trade, right? What have I been saying all day? Overnight high. There's an overnight high. There's an overnight high, right? Because when I have these levels on my charts, it gives me a target. And so I've kind of been targeting that. And then look at what happened when we hit the target. Boom, resistance. Now, that doesn't mean we don't break through it. We certainly can keep going. But these levels are really helpful, guys. So I encourage you to put overnight highs and lows, yesterday's highs and lows, Those are all really important levels, okay? All right. So now we're just settling in on this new high here. Right, little bounce. And you know what's funny is they didn't try to shake us out before this pop, and sometimes they do. Now they brought it down a bit here. I was getting a little nervous on my call. They brought it down just a little bit here, but they didn't really give us a hard shakeout, which sometimes they do. When they're planning a move like this, sometimes they'll give us a hard shakeout. They didn't. All right, pushing up. If we start beating 71.97, I might consider another call. It would be at the 713 level. If I took another call, I've got to be careful about chasing here. Don't want to chase these moves because you get stuck buying the top and selling the bottom. You don't want that. Be careful. When you see a really fast rocket parabolic move like that, be careful not to chase. All right. I'm going to sit on my hands for a minute here. I'm not chasing. I do think they want to pop 7,200, but they don't have to. And it's right here anyway, so there's not enough. Even if they did try to tag 7,200, I wouldn't trade it because it's only 7 points overhead. So I'm not going to be greedy and chase this move. I'm going to wait and see what we get here. The VIX is at 18.5. I want to take a minute. There's a little pop. I do want to take a minute and analyze the VIX here, because 18.5 is not super low, and we had a nice push up there. Yes, we saw the dip on the VIX. We did, but I'm not sure that it's really corresponding to this move. In other words, the VIX should be coming down harder is my thought. All right, Dan, up over 50% on Amazon calls. Great. Congratulations, Dan. You want to swing it till Monday. Amazon has earnings coming up next week on Wednesday. I personally do not ever trade earnings. Could they run it up into earnings? Yes, but you never know. So we can take a look at the Amazon chart here in just a second. I'm not going to take this call. I'm fixated on it, but I'm not going to take it. I've already decided. So we'll take a look at Amazon, then we'll take a look at the VIX. Yep, nice run there. All-time high on Amazon. I'd be careful here, Dan, at all-time highs. Honest truth. Can it run up and tag a new high? Yes, and it's been parabolic in this move, but also take a look at the air between the price and the 21 moving average. There's a lot of air there. Doesn't mean it can't continue on. It sure can. But when you see this much air between the moving averages, it's telling you it's stretched. It's very stretched. Here's earnings right here on 4/29. That's going to be Wednesday. Can it run and tag a new high? Yeah, but I wouldn't bet on it. If you've got nice profit, I say take it, but that's my mantra anyway. See green, take green is my motto, and it has served me well. So again, I'm not saying it can't run up, but we're at an all-time high here. We're in a parabolic move. There's lots of air between here and the moving average, and there's earnings on Wednesday. So, you could bet on a farther run up and it could give you more. But if it were me, I don't think that I would. All right, so we're getting a little toppiness right here. And this is why I didn't want to chase. Like I said, I'm not saying we can't go higher. I do think 7,200 is on the agenda, but that's why we don't want to chase. Let's take a look at the VIX. Here's our VIX, and it is red, red, red. Look at that. So many red days on the VIX, which is also, if you think about it, the same as all the green days we've had on the SPX. So many green days corresponding to so many red days on the VIX. But look at how the VIX is sort of floating right here. Do you see it? Let me zoom in a little bit. You see these last 5 days, it's just floating right across here. Now this today is lower than the previous 4 days. It's gone a little bit lower. That low is sitting at 18.4, which is kind of where we just were just a few minutes ago. But it seems to me like the VIX should have been knocked down farther with this kind of strong upward move. So just be aware that the VIX hasn't it hasn't capitulated yet. The VIX, we would want to see the VIX down here in the 14s, especially with the market at all-time highs. So the VIX has not quite called uncle yet, right? I think it could still have some life in it, and it could coil up for a spring. So just be aware of that. Did get that pop yesterday, remember? Up to 20. Well, actually, look at that. I think it was up to 21. Yeah, the high yesterday was 21. So it's still got some life in it. We've also got the whole moving average starting to give us possibly an upward indication. We've got the MACD starting to shrink and looks like getting ready to move over the zero line. But none of that has happened yet. So just something to be aware of. We're still holding this top 7190-ish area on the ES. No push through that top yet, just sideways at the moment. We could make another run a little bit later today. They could pull it sideways for a good long time. What they like to do is trap people, right? So maybe anyone who jumped in on the second candle here with calls, well, now they're trapped, aren't they? So this is why you got to be really careful on these rocket ship candles. You got to watch those because those a lot of times are designed to trap people. And so anyone who bought here on this candle, they're trapped. So you got to be careful of that. Now, like I said, we could get another push up, but we could just go sideways. That's my guess. As of right now, I bet you we go sideways some more. All right. So that's what the VIX is looking like. Looking just a little bit non-committal, right? It's just not totally participating. Doesn't totally drop. It hasn't given up the ghost. It's really holding kind of sideways. So that's one thing I'm watching. All right, let's come back here to our SPY. And we'll zoom in some. I'm looking at the daily. So the SPY kind of giving us an upward pathway here. And that's what we were seeing on the Qs, like Nick was mentioning earlier. A little bit of an upward pathway. Where the SPX looks a little bit more toppy, the SPY is looking a little bit more bullish. So higher high right there yesterday and higher high today. I'm going to look at that NDX one more time. Look at how strong that looks, guys. Very strong look on the NDX. That's the NASDAQ index. Very strong look here. Looks different, right? This chart is looking different from the SPX and from the SPY. We can see the clear upward trajectory. And again, we can look at the NASDAQ as a leader for the SPY. We can, many times, we can see the NASDAQ leading. NVIDIA slowed down. So let's take a look at NVIDIA. Look at that bar. That's today's bar with almost a 5% run on NVIDIA, sitting at 209. Nice, tall candle there for NVIDIA. And I look to NVIDIA for leadership as well. I see NVIDIA as one of the price leaders in the market. So NVIDIA is really close to a new all-time high. 212.1 is NVIDIA's old high. We are sitting today at 209. So just about $3. NVIDIA can do that. That's not hard. And NVIDIA with earnings coming up May 20th. So NVIDIA is always the one that brings up the rear when it comes to earnings season. They're the last ones to report. So we don't get to see their earnings until way out here. But strong, strong candle there on NVIDIA. Let's look at the minute chart. So kind of pulling sideways, ran up there, hit the high, kind of like we did, ran up, hit the high, rang the bell, and now sideways, virtually sideways. So will we get another leg up today? I don't know. We could. But that's going to bring us up to the end of our stream. So for trading for the rest of the day, I'm going to be cautious. I don't think they're going to let it drop too far after that strong push and the tag of the all-time high, but they can, because yesterday they tagged the all-time high and then they rejected very hard down off of that all-time high. So let's see what we get today. For me, it's kind of a wait and see, right? This strong push, we didn't quite hit 7,200. They could. I'll be watching for that. Watch the VWAP, watch your MACD. Look at these tiny bars. It tells you a story. It's telling you no momentum here. Be careful with these trades. But anything over the VWAP is generally considered bullish. Anything under, generally bearish. That's just a guideline. So be careful with your trades today. Trading at all-time highs is not easy. It's tricky. So watch out for that. Okay, guys? Gideon, thanks, Mel. Have a great weekend. You guys have a great weekend too. Get out there, grill, lay by the pool. It's beautiful. It's springtime in the Rockies. I'm so excited. And I will see you back here on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I love the trade we took together today. What a beauty. We'll be back again on Monday. Thank you guys for joining, and we will see you soon. Have a great weekend, and bye for now.